Love you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Forbes Factor, featuring celebrity TV host, million-dollar entrepreneur, and renowned health and fitness superstar, Forbes Riley. A familiar face from TV, as well as one of today's most sought-after female motivational speakers today. You'll connect with some of the top experts in health and fitness, business and personal development, as well as some surprise celebrities, all sharing their insight, tips, and tricks to finding true happiness. Now, here's your host, Forbes Riley.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Forbes Factor. You know, as we love playing that game every episode, where in the world is Forbes Riley? Well, today I'm sitting in Utah, Provo, Utah. Now, you may know Provo, Utah, you may not. The only reason I knew it is I grew up in a time of the Osmonds and couldn't wait to visit to see where Donnie and Marie lived in Provo with all their brothers and sisters. Well, it turns out the people are unbelievably nice. This is about my fourth trip to Utah, Salt Lake, and this whole area in the last year. Between here and Park City, falling in love with Utah. And I know why people live out here. The mountains everywhere, the weather, the people are just so nice and so genuine. And I've had a lot of adventures. They've embraced me in a way. I go to business dinners every night. We have lunches. I have met the producers of the movie Sound of Freedom. If you've not seen it, highly recommend The Sound of Freedom. We should all be aware of what's happening in the world. And this is the first, Lil, is day number 2 of my speaking tour. I'll be out on the road for almost 8 weeks, going from city to city, spreading the message of you perfect your pitch, you get anything and everything you want in life. Come on. Your grandmother's elevator pitch is yesterday's news. Let's get on board for 2024. And so that's exciting. On Friday, I get to speak with one of my dear friends, superstar in business, Mr. Ed Milet, Chris Williamson, Jimmy Rex, Chris Crone, lots of people out here. But I don't know if you noticed, they're all men. Yeah, I speak with a lot of men. What is that about, that energy? As I jokingly say, I'm one of the only ones who wear high heels, but today that's not even politically correct, is it? So I've got to be very, very mindful of that. I am definitely a woman inside and out, but I've got a deep enough voice to resonate with men and women. Come on, you know that, right? All right, well, I don't want to wait too long because I've got a great guest hanging out in the wings. You know what's funny? As a woman, I've always been very conscious of my style. And as a woman on television, I understand things like color blocking, how patterns don't work, what colors work with your skin. And one of the things that changed my life, and I'm going to tell you, this episode could change your life, was about 30 years ago. I went to an image consultant, paid him a fair amount of money for 1 hour, thinking, oh, what could that do? And I met this wiry-haired, gray-haired guy who, when I opened the door, looked up at me, he's like, I was wearing no makeup. It was just a meeting, right? He's like, you should never leave the house without makeup on. I get that you're a superstar, but you're not like Julia Roberts natural. You're more like Sharon Stone. And I'm like, who the heck are you? Well, I'll tell you what. He had me, he said, look, the colors that you wear on your body affect who you are, the color of your jewelry, your haircut. He said, I think you should cut and color your hair. And I spent 1 hour with this man, and I have a life and a career because of it. His name is Hank Behrings. Every once in a while, I'll call him and just send him a note. That 1 hour of redoing, because you don't see you from the outside in, you see you in the inside, then you see pictures, and I'm sure when you look at pictures like, I don't like fat, I don't like my wrinkles. No, that's not what you'd be looking at. The color, the style, the image, who are you out in the world? And I'm gonna bring to the stage the one and only genius of that, Mr. Bart Miller. Big round of applause. Ooh, the crowd goes wild. Bart, look at you.
Oh,
Where are you calling in from?
I am in Rigby, Idaho, believe it or not, today. Yeah.
What's in your head?
What's that?
I'm joking. I'm from New York. What's on your head?
A cowboy hat, right? I mean, come on, you're talking about style. You got to have multiple personalities. And one of mine is I am a rodeo cowboy.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. You know, I got to be the grand master at a rodeo. I love riding horses. I grew up riding. And I will tell you, I got the whole outfit, the whole, like, snorkeled from head to toe. That was one of my funnest. What do you do in the rodeo? You're not the clown,
Team
right?
rope. Yeah, I probably should be. I team rope. So, yeah, I do a lot of team roping. So I'm mainly a header, but a lot of times I'll heel too. So this depends on what needs to be done.
That's crazy. But you have, no pun intended here, guys. You wear so many hats.
I do.
Oh, and you know what I'm not doing? I'm not recording this on my own platform. So hang on a second. I want to make sure that we are recording us. Oh, no, there you go. Maybe I was recording. I'm going to do it again. There you go. I just want to make sure I have the visual because you guys, we are a radio station, so you can hear us. But if you want to see the visual, I'm broadcasting simultaneously on YouTube, and I just love posting what we're up to. So, Bart, when someone asks you, what do? What do you tell them?
So, I basically go through and I say I help people architect their life by design because most people's lives are architected for them, or they allow somebody else to architect their life. And
Okay.
so I'm really conscious of helping people architect their own life, not only through style, but through their business, their relationships, all that kind of stuff.
Well, how do you come to be this architect?
Well, I think through the life of hard knocks, I think that's what happens to all of us, isn't it? For some reason, we had something that knocked us upside the head, and we finally realized if I don't architect my life, somebody else will do it for me. And at that point in my life, I'll never forget somebody was architecting my life for me.
Oh,
And
wait,
I
wait,
just,
wait, wait. No, wait. You don't never forget what. I'm going to make you drill down a little bit.
yeah, good. I was in the middle of a meeting and I was working for Fisher Broadcasting at this point in time. And they were telling me that I had to do this and this and this and this. And I said, no, I don't have to do that. I get to make a choice. I have a choice in my life of what I get to do. And they said, no, this is what you're going to do. And I said, no, this isn't what I'm going to do. And I quit that job that day, literally walked out of there. And I've been an entrepreneur ever since because I decided that I wasn't going to have somebody else telling me what I was going to do, but I was going to have a choice in what I allowed myself to do and architect my life and design my life the way I wanted it from there.
How old were you at that time?
I think at that time I was about 25 or 26 years old.
That's a really young age to come to that conclusion. So you spun off and did what?
So at that point in time, I went into real estate. I bought a real estate company, a mortgage company, and a for sale by owner. And went in, got my license, and I had a brother-in-law. He wasn't my brother-in-law at the time, but he became my brother-in-law that owned the business. And so he mentored me in that space.
You
We
slept with
built,
his sister?
no. He actually is married to my wife's sister.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So anyway, it was awesome. We had a great relationship. He taught me so much about real estate, and he really got me anchored into the business aspect of what I wanted to do.
Wow. Now, all right. So I know that part about you. You also are into digital marketing. Yes, you
Yes,
got on
very
board
heavy.
that ship. How did that happen?
Well, what ended up happening is long story, and I could take all day doing this, so we won't take all day. I had a bad business deal that ended up happening, cost me a lot of money. And at that point in time, I had a decision to make. I either get back into that space or I pivot. And at that point in time, I met a gentleman that was in the digital space 25, it was about 23 years ago. And he sat down with me and he said, you don't want to go back into what you're going into. Here's where the puck is going. Here's where the future's headed. So you should get into the digital space. And Tony Robbins at that point in time was putting on a business mastery course. It was his very first one in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it was Chet Holmes, Tony Robbins putting it on. And I was like, man, I don't know anything about digital marketing, but I'll give this a try. So he said, I'll mentor you, but you need to go to this. So anyway, long story short, I went to it and called my wife and said, we're going to be in digital marketing. And so we started doing a bunch of research. And that's when we built our first online makeup school. And we still own that school to this day.
Wait a second, but you could have built anything. What made you choose makeup?
Great question. Well, just like we did a bunch of research on the criteria that we had in front of us, which was what's something that you could sell internationally, what's something that's not in a depression going to go away, and all these different things. And the one thing, even in the worst times, women would never give up was their lipstick and
Oh,
makeup. And
it's so
so I thought,
true.
this is awesome. I'll get into this space. And so we started looking for the world's #1 makeup artist. That's not me. And so found him and partnered with him, created this amazing school. It's been private labeled now for the Paul Mitchell world and the Paul Mitchell schools nationwide. And it's just been an awesome thing. It's been a great thing, but that's how I got into it. We built that. It was one of the very first big online things I ever did. And here we are 20 years later with a continuity program that's still up and running. A lot of people would love to have that. And it's just been a great thing. So it's been a cool journey.
That is amazing. But then I also met you
Yep.
because you're the king of style. And you're a personal stylist for a couple of very big personalities. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, where did that turn? And what I love about this story, guys, is you're listening. So many entrepreneurs are like, oh, I don't know what to do. Here's the thing, you can actually do it all. You just can't do it all today. You can
Amen.
fulfill a lot of your dreams over a period of time. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
you're a walking example of that.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people get confused in that in life. And I agree with you, Forbes. And I think you've put it very well. And this is the thing that I've learned in life. There's two things. Do you mind if I share two little quick stories?
I'm here.
Okay, so number one story I had to learn the hard way in life is this, and I ask this question all the time. I ask people, if I ask you to bake brownies from scratch right now, could you do it? And a lot of them will say, someone will say yeah, some of them will say no. And then I say, well, if I gave you a recipe to bake brownies, could you do it? And they all go, yeah, totally could. Then I'm like, okay, well, if you can do that and you can follow instructions and all that kind of stuff, that's awesome. But does the recipe really care if you're a female? No. Does it care if you're a male? No. Does it care if you're poor? No. Does it care if you're rich? No. What does it care about? It cares about one thing. You follow it. So then it was easy for me to learn life is a recipe.
Ooh.
Business is a recipe. Marriage is a recipe. Raising kids is a recipe. The only thing we have to do in life is one thing. Find who has the damn recipe you want. Follow their ingredients, and success comes your way. Understood that, everything from bodybuilding, right? We all know we do certain things, it's a recipe. Team roping, recipe. Cycling, recipe. Playing this guitar, a recipe. Okay. So once you understand that, life becomes way easier and you can gamify everything you're doing. Forbes, you have a system bar nobody else. You have a recipe that if I follow it, I cannot fail. And that's why you're so successful. You don't go try to put a whole bunch of fancy ingredients in it. You follow the same thing. You do the same thing. You get the same outcome, which is brownies every time you cook it. And you've mastered the recipe. And if people want to follow your recipe or my recipe, guess what they're going to get? Our outcome.
Right.
Pretty straightforward. So I learned that. The other thing I learned the hard way is everybody thinks they have to be themselves. When reality is Marilyn Monroe's real name is not Marilyn Monroe.
Norma Jean Baker.
That's right. Why does she do that? Is because sometimes we need an alter ego. Sometimes we need to understand we can escape who we are and become somebody even bigger and better.
Oh.
So I've done that and I've mastered that in multiple aspects of my life. I have different names for different parts of my life that I go by. I embrace, I step into that alter ego. And when I'm in that alter ego, I don't give a shit what you think about Bart Miller because I'm not Bart Miller.
Do you publicly have a different name?
Sometimes, yes. So I'm called the $1 Billion Cowboy. If you go on Instagram right now, look at me up. I rodeo and all that. So people call me that. Hey, it's the $1 Billion Cowboy. That's me. I step into that persona when I'm rodeoing and I'm roping. I'm different. I have different things I put on for different reasons to engage that. And I coach this all the time. So when I'm coaching style, I'm teaching people how to become either an alter ego or so many times what I found is dads and moms come home from business and they're the same, excuse my language, damn person as they went to work in. They don't come home, change their outfit or change their briefcase and become the dad or the wife they want to.
We just got
When I teach, right? So I teach them this process and all of a sudden they're able to go, oh my gosh, when I get home, I can be dad. I don't have to be the business guy anymore because I was able to understand I could be a different person and I can be the real me. And I can really show up for my wife the way I wanted to because I can be the real me, right?
Oh my God. Okay, guys, this is like a ridiculous nugget that I did not know was coming, and I'm going to layer onto this. So I was born with a different name. I was born Francine Forbes. And when this image consultant that I started the program with came up with Forbes Riley, I was living with Tom Riley at the moment, who's my ex-husband, and Forbes was my family name, which means a lot to me because my grandmother picked that name out of a phone book to get my uncle into engineering school. Long story. So Forbes means a lot to my family. And my ex-husband and I don't live together anymore, and I'm in love. I have another husband. Well, my other husband, my new husband, Joshua, for the last 7 years, said something very profound. He said, when you're Forbes Riley, you are this badass business professional. He said, and I don't want her in my house. And I'm like, excuse me. He said, I want my little Francine, who's like a little girl who's feminine, who cooks and loves on and doesn't tell him what to do. And we have this alter ego thing, which I never thought about in the way that you're saying it, but it really is, guys, because I am so professional and I am such a man's world that I think I destroyed part of my marriage because I would come home, I slayed the world, tell me what's going on. And it was really hard on my ex-husband because he's the guy. He never got to be the guy because I was so busy being the guy. And I never experienced the feminine. And I wish I'd met Bart now 10 years earlier. I might not have screwed that up. And I'm going to tell you, I know if you're listening to this, you're screwing it up if you have no idea what we're talking about. Because that's just like such a nugget. Come home and be the dad, be the Casanova, be the woman, be whatever, because business is not that. But now I'm thinking in my fitness world, I need to just become the spin gym queen because it's very hard. People associate me as this pitch coaching superstar on television,
Yeah.
but on some level, I'm really into my fitness and health, and it's not the same world. It's not the same person.
Right. Yeah. And awesome? Yeah. Good for you. Wow. That was cool to hear. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Well, it really affected our life and it affected our marriage because it never dawned on me, and he was the one who pointed it out, just like you did, that you also dressed, like literally come home and take all that off.
Yeah.
Be the casual, fun, engaging, playful person that the world doesn't really get to see.
Yeah.
Who's Bart at home? What's Bart do at home?
What's my stripper name? Is that what you want to know? I mean, really, right? So, I mean, you think about this in world, Bo Jackson. You think about Sasha Fierce. Who is she? You think about, I mean, I can go on about all.
Eminem has one. Yep.
Yeah. You think about
How
Kobe
about
Bryant.
Superman? Okay. Superman and Clark
There you
Kent.
go. Spider-Man, all of them. Everybody does this. That is, I mean, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people, when they understand this, they can just grab these things and become these superheroes and all these things that they've ever desired. And even, like I said, funny as it sounds, stripper name, right? If a lot of men and women understood when they went to bed with their significant other, they just said, hey, you take this persona on tonight. How much fun would they have? Because the stripper doesn't, they don't have the, anyway, I don't want to get into a lot of it, but you understand what I'm saying, how much it would change things up because it allows you to be somebody you are not. It allows you to be fun. And what's even more amazing, I have watched men that are the coolest, most macho cowboys you've ever seen in your life. Halloween, they'll dress up like a woman. And I, just for shits and giggles, for fun, but I've never laughed so hard in my life because they just let go. Right. Because everybody doesn't care. They, on and on. And, but it's even not them, but it just releases them for one night to where it's like, boom. And it's just so crazy. When you go to Burning Man, you get a new name when you're there. You dress differently.
Wait. Okay, wait, pause.
Yeah.
I don't know that everybody in my community knows what Burning Man is. I've never been. Let's go back up right here and talk about what is Burning Man and why should I go? Why should everyone go? And what kind of name?
Yeah. So, two reasons why you should go, why you shouldn't go is if you don't understand yourself well enough to experience Burning Man, I wouldn't go. Burning Man is portrayed as a big party with a bunch of drugs. That's what it's portrayed as. What it really is one of the most spiritual experiences you'll ever have if you're ready for it and prepared for it, and you've got the capacity to understand it. There's a book, and I want to tell you the name of it. And first, all I can think of is fire.
All right, well, you think about that for a second, guys. Here, one of my neighbors was a technician at Burning Man. What this means is that tens of thousands of people go out to the middle of the desert once a year. Artistic business people. There's nothing out there.
Google, FBI, huge companies.
You have to bring everything with you. It is a community experience for a week. It's supposed to be extraordinary. At the end of it, they literally burn a figure of a man in effigy, and what you make is what you make of it. So I would Google Burning Man. I have not been. I think this is the year I need to understand how to go, who to go.
I'm going again.
When is it? Is it in September?
Yeah, it's in, when's the exact dates of Burning Man, Sonny? Do you know? End of August, but it's right through there.
All right. So I have no idea how we're going to do this, but sign me up. We're going to figure, I've got a bunch of friends who go. I need to go someone who's very experienced. And if you want to experience crazy part of life, because I'm so ready for this now, and that's really good. So why should you go to Burning Man?
Yeah. So there's a book called Stealing Fire. If you've not read this book, read it. It is absolutely a game changer in this world. But what's happened to us is so many times we never get the opportunity in life to overcome beliefs or to break things down in our life. Burning Man allows you to be amongst a group of people that doesn't judge. And I know it sounds crazy, and I went for the build part of it, and I've gone for the other part of it, which means you, like you just said, you have to build the whole thing, right? So you go early, you build this up. When you're there at build, you can, and I'm not going to lie, there is a little bit of like, oh my gosh, look at that outfit. That's super expensive. You start to compare. 3 days into Burning Man, or 2 days, there is no such thing as comparison.
Really?
You can be sitting next. I was sitting next to, in our camp, to put it in perspective, Forbes, 5 self-made billionaires. One of them was the guy who actually just lost the movies in. Uh, anyway, I'll think of it here in a second. But Tetris. Yeah, the creator of Tetris was in our camp. And long story short, I didn't know him from. I mean, not to say anything bad about him, because I was the same way. But you don't know him from a bum. Like you don't even care. Like all you care about, because there's no such thing as exchanging money at Burning Man. Everything is gifting. You can't buy anything. So if you need anything, it's like you can ask, but it's all gifting. You can't, like, if I need it doesn't matter what I need, but you can find it on the playa, which is crazy. So anyways, like I was there, we were all in this big thing. We're all sitting around together. And I mean, just the most brilliant humans you've ever been around in your life. And so one night we were with this one gentleman, for example, didn't know he was presenting, and he ended up giving a talk, one of the most profound talks at this point in my entire career and life. He gave at Burning Man. I sat with him all night, had no idea. And he's a
What did
musician.
his talk focus on?
He talked about, he played the piano. He's the one that actually plays the piano at the temple at Burning Man. He was in our camp, and he talked about the vibration of music in the key of C and how he can heal the world through music, because music is a universal language that can mix with any other instrument where a voice can't. So if a group of people are talking, it becomes chaos. When music is played and other instruments are played, it becomes beautiful. But even by one, it's amazing. But he talked about how it heals the soul and the vibrations, because we all energy, we're all vibration. And so those certain vibrations through our body, it's just like unbelievable. Well, anyway, he had this masterful talk. He was in our camp, and I just got to spend this incredible time with these most brilliant humans. I also got to spend time with the #1 MDMA and psychedelic expert in the world was in our camp. And he gave a 3-hour talk on how different things have been manipulated to get rid of those things, but where they're the most healing for our military people coming back, and all these different things, and how it's making such a huge effect, and why they need to be legalized again. Now, I'm not saying that they need to be a party type of thing. That's not what I'm trying to get at here. Everything needs respect, including in the health world. We all know as we eat, all the things need respect and honored. Let's be clear. And they need to be done in the right way and in the right manner. But at the end of the day, he was very adamant on how they're healing the world and what they do to unlock us to be able to make beliefs and things that we've had installed in us go away and get a new vision of what life really should be.
I just got such chills. I'm so excited. And guys, and I love the fact that I'm back in Utah. It's funny how sometimes things will draw you to where you're supposed to be at that point in your life. And you only know this when you live long enough and you're open to new ideas. You don't judge. You don't put down people. You don't, I mean, a lot of things that I can't say don't, that if you choose to let go of some of these constrictive societal beliefs that we instill in each other, there's a mass hypnosis about what's right and what's wrong. And I think one of the things that Bart just reminding me of is that when you're brave enough to shatter those limiting beliefs, when you have enough courage to step into who you are, realize that you're just completely different from other people, and that's okay. I mean, guys, one of the things that I'm just embracing right now as a female speaker in a male world, I mean, I'm speaking on Friday here. I'm the only female on the stage. I love this. I'm now thriving on this because I also get to be an example for others. Guys, walk and march to your own drummer. And it's easy to say. I teach trainings on how to embrace this. Bart teaches trainings on how to embrace this. You don't need to find just one teacher. You need to find lots of teachers. And again, I go back to that life is a buffet. You can't put all the forks in your mouth at one time, but you can certainly go from the salad to the entree, try chicken, try prime rib, and then eat the dessert maybe before everything starts. Do what works for you and find the recipe. I love this, Bart. I think you and I need to do a book. I think you
Can't
and
wait.
I mean, like seriously, I have a really, I hate when I get downloads like this, but what a fun idea to combine all the things that we've been through in life.
Oh, wow.
Right, I know. Something about finding the recipe. I'm just got total chills. And then you layer in Burning Man. I've got 2 minutes at the end of this segment. Bart, say whatever you want to my audience.
Well, #1 thing is thank you, Forbes, for being you, and thank you for being a light for the women out there. And those of you that don't understand how to get in touch with their feminine energy, please find that. It will save the world. We live in a male world that's got to go, and we need that feminine energy back because it is what's creation. It is what we need. And I beg of you to find that not only in your soul, but in your life. And Forbes, thank you for embracing that, realizing that, and empowering other women to not only be amazing humans and amazing business people, but also to step back and be these fierce, creative, amazing women that they can be. So thank you for that.
And I love that. And finding the feminine side as a man is such a beautiful thing. It's just strange in this particular day and age how we've bastardized some of that, if you will. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's segment. I loved meeting Bart in person. I've now had a chance to meet him and his children and his beautiful wife in person. And maybe we would go to Burning Man. Wouldn't that be fun to do a broadcast from there?
Amazing. Oh boy.
All right. Bart, where do we find you?
Just on Instagram is fine. At Bart Allen Miller, ALLAN Miller _, and you'll find me on Instagram. It'd be perfect.
Unless you want to find the rodeo guy, what's that one?
Same one. You can get they're all there. I share it all.
All right, and we have an e-card. If you want any information, you can certainly find Bart through my stuff as well. We're going to take a quick break to thank our sponsors for this amazing show that we get to do every week. I love you for being here, Bart. I'll see you in person very soon, and thank you.
You're so welcome.
All clear. Great show.
All right, so we are still live on YouTube for everybody watching. I hope you had the most amazing time. Bart, I really do think